Welcome to the Blueprint Podcast, where the blueprint to understanding a new and unified world is in our shifting consciousness.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Blueprint Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. So I'm Angela Blaha and I have Renee Keene here with me again today. How are you today, Renee?
Good morning. I'm great. How about you?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we could be other things, but you know why? Which is kind of what we want to talk about today, right? Which is what the heck is the awakening? Because it seems, in my opinion, very slow. I think it should be done like that. But at the same time, we have a lot of people who are experiencing burnout right now because, you know, we're trying to do the old way instead of the new way. So all the things are, I'm going to say, super hot, trendy right now, like tarot, astrology, manifesting, the akashic records, cleansing your energy, crystals, right? Like all the old tools, I feel, are still very hot and very trendy. But what if we told you that those things are rapidly changing because there's not much power in them anymore, because all the power has now switched to you. So there's very little power in the tools that we used to use for creation or for manifestation or for protection or any of those things, because you're now the holder of all the power. What do you think?
I like it. And I agree.
Yeah. So that has switched, right? Like the energies have completely switched. That's the old way of using the power of the tool versus the power of you. So we're calling all starseeds yet again, who really want to just go and hide in a closet right now, because there's a lot of us who are like really resisting the change from having the power in the tool to, you know, having the power and all the tools, to literally owning the power, because that's really who we came here to be. I mean, that's the whole concept of being a human, is you having power to create worlds. But that all got changed through the switch into separation. But now, you know, through the ascension, through the awakening process that we're actually having right now, all that power is switching back to you. And I think that we have a lot of resistance to that because, of course, we have imprints in our DNA that says, in our cellular structures that say, yeah, you don't have the power. Something else has the power. So we have to heal up those belief systems. We have to change them. We have to actually actualize, what's really real here. So, and we know that we are having to start all over again because, again, those old tools are losing all of their zest. Literally, they hold no power, no energy anymore. So you're being driven to start over. Find new soul families or groups that really resonate more with who you are, the powerful, creative being that you are. And a lot of us are experiencing burnout. We're tired. We're really, really freaking tired. And we just want to leave the game of work behind and just go live on a beach somewhere, right? So what are some things that we can do to ignite a new fire? We're not going to ignite the old fire because that's burnt out. It doesn't even exist any longer. There's no energy provided for that. We've talked about that through all of the self-actualization videos that we've done. Like there's new energy here, right? It's the new earth components. What's the foundation of your new earth? Where does your passion now lie versus where it used to lie? And, well, let's start with that. So what are some of the things that we can do to ignite this new fire within us, no matter what your age? What do you got, Renee?
That's great, because it leads us into understanding that, as you said, the power lies within us. Mm-hmm. So that's where, for me, when you ask me that question, it's like, I get to dive into myself.
Mm-hmm.
I get to say, who am I aligned with today? Or what am I aligned with today? And why? So that can be something on this earth plane. That can be something in the galactic field. That can be something just between you and source. You get to decide. You get to choose. You get to make the alignment yourself. Not because you picked up a crystal and it said, we're going to work today on protection, say. I love crystals. Don't get me wrong. I have them all over my house and I love them and I love to interact with them. However, I fully understand that the power's in here. And I get to ask myself, what am I aligned with today? What am I looking at? Am I looking at my relationship with my friends, my family, my spouse, my source? My starseed family, my soul family, where am I aligned? So it's all inside. Everything is inside of us. We just have to ask the question that unlocks the key, that we can hear it for ourselves and not be dependent upon something outside of us. And that's a big, big thing. And do I always remember it? No. I don't.
Yeah.
Better than I used to.
Well, it's a big shift, right? Because, if I'm looking for protection or if I believe that I need protection and I think I can find it in this rock, well, the first question needs to be, well, why do I believe that I don't hold the power of protecting myself?
Yes.
Right? Like that's where the premise lies right there is where do you not have boundaries that put up walls of protection, or you being the power of your own protection that says, I need something outside of me to protect me, And that's a huge shift in our consciousness. It's a huge shift in our awareness. It can be an energy drain because we're just allowing energy to leak out of our field out of our power, right? And so we really need to start asking these bigger questions. I'm not going to say deeper because they're bigger kinds of questions where you actually have to take responsibility for being the protector of who you are. Maybe you need to change your language. Maybe you need to change some of your belief systems. Maybe you need to change, the people that you're around. Maybe, all of those kinds of things have to come into play. I mean, we have to start looking at them in a bigger, broader perspective for the awakening to actually happen and without being overwhelmed, without pretending that we're using these old tools to, help us through ascension. That's not what ascension is. That's not what awakening is. Awakening is you're awakening to who you really are. Which none of us is. I mean, we don't really want to do it.
Work.
Yeah, it can be.
It can be.
It can also ignite that fire. Right?
Very often it does.
The new fire, I mean, geez, if you're seeking this rock to protect you, but yet the bigger question is, why do I need protection in the first place? I mean, dang, that could take you down some rabbit holes. Right? And I think that's where we get overwhelmed.
I have something that just keeps bopping in here. And it's like, this is like a major jump for us. Because in the human earth world that we all live in, we're constantly being bombarded with the word safety. You have to wear your seatbelt so you're safe. You have to wear a bike helmet when you're riding a bike so you're safe. You have to do this or that or the other thing so you're safe. So over the last 25 years, I'll say, we have been bombarded with something outside of us will make us safe. rather than just understanding that if you drive your car correctly, and if you're observant and if you're paying attention, potentially you don't need your seatbelt. If you're riding your bike on the sidewalk and you're paying attention, or you're riding and you're paying attention and you're being responsible for your own actions, potentially you don't need a helmet. So they've kind of warped us into thinking we need something outside of ourselves for protection or to be safe. So yes, we have gone into crystals or oils or tarot cards or whatever, because we feel like it gives us a bit of an insight that's different than the outer world that we live in, yet we're kind of using it in the same way.
Yeah.
We're looking outside of ourselves. And we now know that it's within us.
Right.
It's not outside of ourselves. We can be responsible for our own, we use the word protection. We can be responsible for our own protection. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally. So I think that that's one of the things that we can do, right, to ignite a new fire, is to know that you are safe. And if you don't feel safe within who you are, then there's some healing that needs to be done, or there's some I don't know, exploration that needs to be done that creates a bigger perspective about who you are. Here's what I know about consciousness is when we put consciousness into, when we pigeonhole it so much, and we restrict all of our energy into belief systems, there's great fear.
Yes.
There's great fear. But when we open up to the vastness of the universe and open up into the true potential power, opportunities, potentials, possibilities, ideas, concepts, whatever you want to, right? Like there's freedom there because you're the one who's choosing the tool. You're the one that's choosing, to either live in the world of possibilities, to see things differently. Like that's where the freedom resides. And so that's what the first thing that I suggest is to really get a broader picture of who you are. Can we really hold the power of telekinesis? Can we hold the power of that?
Yeah.
We also have the energies of the cosmic field right now that are hot and very transformative. We just had a solar eclipse. Pluto is direct again. Pluto's all about stripping away anything that does not serve you. We have a lunar eclipse coming up in a week. I mean, we have a ton of huge energies in the field that are here to help us into igniting something new within us. I mean, they're all here to sort of strip away the old, right? Are we resisting that energy or are we playing with it? When we open up into, right, the cosmic energies, we open up into fields of opportunities and possibilities.
Totally.
Yeah.
So going back to what you said about asking oneself, what is it that I believe that's holding me back? Do I believe I'm safe? You can, ask yourself those very simple questions. Do I believe I'm safe? Do I believe I hold this power? Do I believe in myself?
Yeah.
And all those questions lead us down another thing. It's like, well, sometimes you can just go, well, yeah, I have that answer, yes or no, whatever it is. And you can do it really quick. But if you keep asking yourself the questions about beliefs that you've maybe had your entire life, do I still believe this? Am I stuck here? Why am I stuck here? How do I let this go? As we learn more about what it is that is keeping us in a spot. And yeah, as Angie said, the powers and energies that are out there waiting to assist us are amazing. I mean, I've had some great experiences over the last few weeks, and It's in working with those energies.
Mhm, mhm.
Those, I don't want to call them new energies. They've always been there.
Right.
I'm recognizing them now for the first time.
Yeah. Well, I think that that's what burnout, we could classify burnout, right? And it's a real thing right now. I think that we have a lot of resistance to the ascension or the awakening or to knowing ourselves in a bigger, broader picture. And I think that we are here to encourage you to try something different. Like, stop trying to ignite old energy. There's no power to it. There's no energy to it. The old tools, there's no energy to them any longer. Old everything, like old anything and everything, like just jump into the new energy. Just take a jump. I mean, when we come into these kinds of energy fields where Pluto's like direct, we know that we have to jump. We know that ascension, I like it to be instantaneous. And so for me to jump, it's pretty easy for me to jump because I like change. I thrive in change. I thrive in it. But if we're like very patterned, and we like patterns, like we don't like anything that forces us to sort of take a different perspective. Jumping is it's very scary. I mean, you don't feel safe in jumping. That's probably where people again have such burnout right now. But I can tell you that everything has changed. The new earth energies are here. They're alive. They're very potent. They're very energetically infused. And if we're ignoring that, we're probably going to feel energetically drained. We're going to feel lost. We're going to feel confused, because that's how the energies, that's how it works. So some new tools that we've been playing with for quite some time that are really energetically hot and trendy, should be trendy, are teleportation, like real physical teleportation, telepathic communication, which we've pretty much mastered that, telekinesis, which we're very much working on, using universal laws to operate through life. That's something I don't think that we've paid much attention to in the past, but using the universal laws to literally help us move into new earth energies. Here's a couple things that have changed, like the akashic records are now plasma. They are not written. So if you're still looking into the akashic field for written records, you're not going to find them. They don't even exist any longer. You can conjure them up in your mind, but they don't really exist. It's now plasma. And how do you understand plasma should be really the question, which will pull you into teleportation, into all of these new tools are very much plasma energy fields. There is no longer a grid, like the matrix, like that kind of a grid that doesn't exist any longer. It's very much a plasma kind of field versus a grid or a matrix kind of field, but you cannot anchor into it. The whole energy field that was created before, the quantum field, was very matrixy. It was very gritty. You could plug into it and get information or connect, but that's how manipulation, domination, control actually operated. And so the new energy field does not have the ability to anchor into it, so that we cannot create that whole domination control matrix any longer. So, these are some of the things that we should be like looking towards or trying to understand better, or how do you incorporate, plasma into the physical body? Like, that's because it's the plasma energies that will actually help you teleportation and telekinesis, creating energy from the one mind. I mean, that's where the power lies here. So any other tools or any other new things that you want to discuss here?
I'm not going to necessarily call this a tool, and yet it may be that. It's when someone maybe speaks like Angela just did about telekinesis, teleportation, lost the other one.
Telepathic communication.
Telepathic communication. Anyway, let's just use those three. And you're like, well, yeah, but I don't believe in that. Okay. Many people, that's your first response is, well, I don't believe in that. Okay. So you can either just go that route and just ignore everything that's been stated, or you always have choice. You can say, I've never believed in that before. I don't really know what that is. Maybe this is my opportunity to look up what those words mean, to see where they resonate within my being, and to see if perchance I don't believe in them because I don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
I have the opportunity maybe to look them up. So I'm not saying that old belief patterns haven't served us, because oftentimes they have. But now moving into the new earth energy, we have the opportunity to say, let me look at this. Do I really truly believe that in this? Or am I stuck in my old belief pattern that says, no, this is what I feel like we're really calling people to look at. Yeah, you can go back to your cards or your crystals or whatever it is you choose to use. Maybe now's the opportune time. Maybe now you get to actually ask yourself some questions. Maybe you get to dig in and see what telepathy is. First time I heard that word, I was like, I'm not really sure what that is. I don't know if I believe in it or not. I don't know. Well, I did a lot of research. I did some reading, and it's like, God, folks, we all can do that stuff. We have done it before. So I have worked for a number of years on telepathy. It works. I'm just telling you, it works.
It does. It does work.
Mm-hmm.
I think
so all of these concepts.
Yeah, I think that we have real fear about these concepts because they were demonized, back in the day of Jesus. Honestly, they were, Jesus used all these skills and more. And, they became demonized, which was supposed to be our natural way of being, but they were demonized. And I think that we have real fear when we talk about these kinds of abilities, natural abilities. They aren't anything that you can conjure up like a tarot card, right? Like you can conjure up a tarot card. You're just creating a meaning to something, right? And that meaning, and you're given the meaning power. Well, telekinesis is you being able to change, I don't know, water into wine. What are you conjuring? You're literally alchemizing, changing one substance to something else. That's the power of the one mind, using source consciousness to literally create something from something else. It's a creation kind of power. So there's a real difference in the way that I feel that we need to start looking at life, and all the things that were sort of, put into categories of demonization or sorcery or magic or, any of those kinds of things that sort of created a false safety or a false protection against. And I think that that's probably why we are, one of the things of awakening is moving from feeling safe, like you had mentioned, into, real power. And we don't have a lot of confidence in who we are to have real power because of all these traditional thoughts and ideas and belief systems that have been created around these natural gifts and abilities.
There are a couple things that you might want to try. People might want to try this. And I found that they're very empowering and they're very simple that we can use in our everyday life. Time is really an easy thing to work with.
Yeah.
For me, and I think for most of us. So set your intention to be somewhere on time. And even if you're leaving 5 minutes late, just don't get wigged out by leaving 5 minutes late. I will be there on time. And you will be amazed at how often you get there right on time. I practiced with the red and green stoplights.
Yeah.
All the lights I hit today are going to be green or red, you know, whatever you want to pick for your thing. You're going to a mall and the parking is always hazardous or whatever. There'll be a spot for me right when I get there. It'll be just right there as I pull in. These are very simple tools for you to practice your ability to create what you want.
Yeah.
And they're just everyday kind of tools. It really helped me to see how I can change things, how I can create what it is I desire. And they're very simple.
Yeah. And then, you know, when you want to move beyond time, you work into wormholes and
yes, you do.
Leads into bilocation and then teleportation. Yes. Yeah. So there are steps, I mean, that you can take to feel safe. What I'm going to say about that, where we are consciously right now, and with all of the cosmic energies that are coming into play, and the universal laws that are really, really wanting to be heard and seen. And by the way, I just did a really good class on that. Evolution is always evolving. Like, we are in a constant state of evolution, and sometimes we take real small steps, and sometimes we just jump off the damn cliff, right? And right now we are in a jumping cycle.
We are.
I mean, in these big jumps, everything is challenged. And we call these challenges the awakening, because we are forced. I mean, there's no leaving people behind here. You know, that's always been a whole thing, is we can't change because we're going to leave people behind. Well, in these giant jump cycles, nobody gets really left behind.
No.
Our challenges, because everyone is challenged. Everyone is challenged. Especially when we have things like Pluto coming in. And you know, we all know that I love Pluto energy because it forces us to change. There's nobody's going to no one, whether you are a human soul or a non-human soul, we're not moving without everyone moving. That is just a false premise. It's a false premise created to keep everyone in control and domination and to not move forward. But when we have these challenges, like these big challenges that we're having, where we really have to stop and think about who we are, we call it the awakening. I mean, that's really what the awakening is, right? Because everything that you thought was true and real is now being changed or challenged. And you have to start asking yourself, wait, do I really believe that? Do I really think that that's true? Like, what is true right now? There's not much that's true and real right now. If we're actually living in this world, you have to acknowledge that there's not very much that's still true or real, because everything is being challenged.
Everything. From your greater awareness to the world, to right down to your own relationships in your own home, in your own circles, all of it's being challenged.
Yes. And that's really what the awakening is. So, you know, we're challenging ourselves to think differently, to see things differently, to act differently, to, you know, all of our behaviors have to change. And, you know, who wants that? I mean, that seems like a lot of work, right? Because now we have to be somebody else. But what if it's more of a natural flow, is what we're trying to say, is like, you know, what's being challenged are the false belief systems and the false realities and the false power that supposedly resides outside of you when it's actually inside of you. And it becomes easier and easier and easier once you start opening to, well, what are the possibilities here? Then the overwhelm and the being tired sort of dissipates, and you literally have a deeper ignition within you that is like, oh, this is who I really am. There's no work when you're your natural self. There's no work.
And it's
So-
really, really good. I don't like to necessarily use the word good. That implies there's something bad. It's really important and imperative right now that we ask ourselves as many questions as we possibly can. Whenever we're influenced by something, whether it's on the television, the radio, the YouTube, a friend, a conversation, whatever, when something challenges our reality as we know it, instead of just turning to, well, that's wrong, allow yourself a pause, allow yourself the time to listen and feel it in your body, feel it in your heart, feel it in your soul. It's like, is that an accurate statement for me right now? You will be amazed at how simple just taking that pause to look at something that's different and outside of what your normal thought pattern is.
Yeah.
And see where it resides within you. You will be amazed at what you learn about yourself. Your
For sure.
true self.
Your true self, yes.
Your true self.
And with that, we're going to leave you with the awakening.
Awaken.
Exactly. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for being with us today. To find out more about Angela, visit her website at www.angelablaha.com